So today we'll take the final steps of our exploration of Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist, by looking at what the alchemist himself teaches the boy. Welcome to the Stories Cafe podcast, the espresso version of Stories Cafe, offering quick, enriching moments of reflection on literature, cinema, archetypes, philosophy, and the art of living deliberately. Just like a perfectly crafted espresso at a Parisian cafe, each episode is a brief pause for you to submerge yourself in something invigorating and fulfilling. I'm Annette Wernblad, course creator, internationally published author, and wanderer at heart. So cozy up as we explore the powerful world of stories, how they shape our lives, and teach us the art of living deliberately. Here's the presentation of the first time the boy sees the alchemist. When the blinding dust had settled a bit, the boy trembled at what he saw. Astride the animal was a horseman dressed completely in black, with a falcon perched on his left shoulder. He wore a turban, and his entire face, except for his eyes, was covered with a black kerchief. He appeared to be a messenger from the desert, but his presence was much more powerful than that of a mere messenger. "Why are you called the alchemist?" the boy says. "Because that's what I am." And then the boy says, "And what went wrong with other alchemists tried to make gold and were unable to do so?" And the alchemist said, and again, that was my point from before, they were looking only for gold. They were seeking the treasure of their personal legend without wanting actually to live out the personal legend. And to me, that's sort of the final nail in the coffin of the whole law of attraction kind of thing, is that you are seeking the treasure without wanting to live out you just want it to come to you. You're going to think the universe is going to manifest it. All I have to do is think and feel a certain way and put myself on this frequency. It'll come to me. And this is what the alchemist says. Why can't you turn lead into gold, even if you're an alchemist? They were looking only for gold. They were looking only for gold. The physical, material manifestation of what gold means, rather than the wisdom, the deeper wisdom of what gold means. They were seeking the treasure of their personal legend. Think about that every time. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with craving material possessions at all, but if you only want them for themselves, then there's very little you can do if you don't want to live out your personal legend. And the value of living the personal legend is a million times greater than whatever material riches you can possess. I love this. Why are you called the alchemist? And the answer is that because he knows this. That's the real magician. So then comes the big thing about listening to your heart. The alchemist tells him that he should listen to his heart. Well, then, why should I listen to my heart? Because you will never again be able to keep it quiet. Notice that he says never again. You have now gone on your personal legend. And once you start listening to your heart, you will never be able to keep it quiet. Even if you pretend not to have heard what it tells you, it will always be there inside you, repeating to you what you're thinking about life and about the world. Now, to me, that is very, very wise. You can pretend not to hear what your heart tells you. How then do you know what the heart tells you, even if you're not listening? Because it'll keep repeating what you're thinking about life and about the world. So what you're thinking about life and the world will be reflected back to you in how your heart makes you feel. So even if this is what I always call it, we're writing our own stories and we're constantly telling ourselves stories about ourselves and each other and the world around us. We keep telling ourselves stories in our heads. And a lot of the time we don't even know what the stories are that we're telling ourselves, but we can feel whether they're making us feel good or bad. Even if we don't realize what they are, we can feel, I'm suddenly feeling sad for no reason. Well, it's possibly because your heart is reflecting back to you, repeating to you what you're thinking about life and about the world. listening to your heart. You will never, and just that quote alone, you'll never be able to escape from your heart. So it's better to listen to what it has to say. Even just that sentence in its own, I think, is amazing. It's better to listen to what it has to say. You know, what we talked about last month. What is it that you're really longing for? What is your heart longing for? Well, my heart is afraid that it'll have to suffer, the boy told the alchemist one night as they looked up at the moonless sky. Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams. The fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams. Beautiful, isn't it? That night, the boy slept deeply, and when he awoke, his heart began to tell him things that came from the soul of the world. It said that happiness could be found in a grain of sand from the desert, as the alchemist had said, because a grain of sand is a moment of creation, and the universe has taken millions of years to create it. I really love that. Happiness could be found in a grain of sand from the desert, because a grain of sand is a moment of creation, and the universe has taken millions of years to create it. So now he starts listening to his heart, and this is what his heart tells him. Everyone on earth has a treasure that awaits him, his heart said. We, people's hearts, seldom say much about those treasures because people no longer want to go in search of them. We speak of them only to children. People no longer want to go in search of them. We speak of them only to children. You all know this is right. You know, this is what I love more than anything probably in the world, that idea. The treasures, what are the treasures? Are they silver and gold in a thing? No, it's following the path to that personal legend. And I love that. We speak of them only to children because children listen. Do you remember that feeling we had as children? You're dreaming about all kinds of adventures. And again, about the alchemists who only want the gold. The alchemist tells him then there were others who were interested only in gold. They never found the secret. They forgot that lead, copper, and iron have their own personal legends to fulfill. And anyone who interferes with the personal legend of another thing never will discover his own. So if you don't appreciate a grain of sand or the lead and copper and iron and their personal legends, you'll never understand the true meaning of the alchemy and of turning lead into gold. This is what I keep saying, you know, this is what everything I'm teaching is not really new. It's something that we once knew. I just love opening that door to what we already knew. So the boy then becomes appreciative toward the end of his journey. What is it that he has gained? I learned the alchemist's secrets in my travels. I have inside me the winds, the deserts, the oceans, the stars, and everything created in the universe. We were all made by the same hand, and we have the same soul. The only thing in The Alchemist that offends me a little bit, but maybe we're getting too sensitive, I'm not sure, is that all the way through it is talked about as if the personal legend is for men. And that sort of annoys me a little bit because it appeals to me so much. It has been since I was a little girl, that whole thing about the adventure and going out. And in this book, women are basically daughters of merchants or women who are happy to just sit in the oasis and wait for their men to maybe come back and maybe not. The women of the desert, they know that the man has to live out his personal legend. That offends me a little bit because it is, of course, from the animist perspective, it is very, very lovely that the woman is just going to sit in it. She encourages him to move on, and she's just going to stay in the oasis and wait, and maybe he comes back and maybe he doesn't, and she understands either way. But it's still, maybe she has a personal legend too, if everybody does.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your espresso break and learned something new. If you're eager to dive deeper into the world of stories and ideas, be sure to hit the follow button in Spotify or the plus button in Apple Podcasts so that you get each new episode straight to your podcast app. You can also visit us at Stories Cafe. Just go to stories-cafe.com. There you can explore free content for a taste of what we offer, or if you're ready for more, a paid membership unlocks in-depth discussions, full access to our archives, and a vibrant community of fellow story enthusiasts. I am so thrilled to have you here, and I look forward to welcoming you back to the Stories Cafe soon.